Hello, this is Adam here, and today we are showing this thing called low pressure storm Hannah. And as you know, maybe I didn't give it a name, but it's over here. As you guys know, we've been tracking it. I just didn't give it a name, and so I wanted to give it a name. But let's see, what happened a couple of days ago. I want to show you kind of what happened. So it started out on the, when was it? I believe the 21st, no, the 22nd, early 22nd. So this is what happened. Though there was two small systems, but nothing about that special. Oh, there's a cluster of thunderstorms over here, but nothing that serious until something happened. As you can see, there's that storm. But then this storm makes a separate storm. And so this is what forms the storm. Now the eye was very deformed on the 23rd, 2 days ago. But because you couldn't even see the eye. But over time, by about here I'll show you. That's what happens. That's what happens. And so it's very huge eye. Look at that, it's all crossing it. But then you could see that there's more of the eye right here. And this is where it gets crazy. Right here. So right here, oh, shoot, that's a little too far. Wait, this is where it starts. So right here starts, and there's already some pretty big wind gusts, although the storm's way over there. Now, this is what made the storm surge watch, as you know, or the storm surge warning. And so eventually, it turned to kind of the side like this, and so it got even worse. As you can see, let's keep going up. Oh shoot, let's keep going up, and that's because most of the storm is like that. So once we get to this time, all of that wind is still pushing up at very fast speeds. Now, currently the temperature at this time was very, very low, but it wasn't as low as the storm center. The storm center had extreme coldness, but on this side it was very warm. So that's what kind of made it the storm that it is. So over here it was pretty warm. I mean, it was maybe in the 40s, but anyway, let's continue on. By the way, these winds are about 65 kilometers an hour. Miles an hour. Here we go. Here it is. It's about 40 miles an hour. So you have winds right now, 40 miles per hour, maybe a little less. But you continue on the day. Kind of more of it going like this. So there it is. And now we come to yesterday. So yesterday, it's kind of complicated because you can't really see where the eye is, but it eventually got a very, very strong eye. Now you could see where the major storm, this actually before it was a storm surge watch, but now it's a storm surge warning. And so all that wind is going pushed right onto the surface. Once we get to 5 a.m., the storm eye, of course, comes, and you could see that it's a little colder at the eye. But it's pretty warm still, but that will change. This changes. Now this is one of the biggest winds happen, and this is where the emergency happened. Now the pure core winds were right here, but it was still okay. First, okay. Feels good. So it was still very, very bad. Now here comes it onto one of our islands. Shukotan, I think. Was it Shukotan? Not sure. Um, this is Europe or URUP. I know it's kind of a weird name, and it's already fine. Just a little bit of winds, but not too bad. But look at this part. Now, Anakatan is still not in the main part. But here's the problem. Here's the thing. It goes right here, and this is 7 a.m. There's probably the biggest amount of wind. And as you can see, there's some pretty high winds. This is most likely maybe 90, 95, maybe maximum, maybe 95 kilometers. Wait, kilometers per hour. It's about 59 mile per hour winds. So that's pretty high. Now, but it got worse. Now, not exactly for Anakatan, but for other places. Now we go to about 8 a.m. and it's a little better. Now it's completely good because it's kind of the ice getting broken up. And now the temperature starts kind of going down. And we could show you that. Yeah, see how the temperature's kind of going down. But it's still not that bad. To be reminded, this is the surface, so it's definitely much worse now at the top, at the higher elevations. Now here, Anakatan is on the backside, still getting hammered by the winds, but this time it's not as bad. And most of the winds, actually, there's bigger winds way down here than is in Anakatan. So, anyway, let's continue on. And so now, this is where it kind of gets bad for this city called Petrovsk-Kamenetsky. As you can see, there's some very, very strong winds offshore. But where does it go? See how it gets a little better? Just because it's a little offshore. But the thing is, here, I'm going to show you this. Okay, so the Rathbun storm is right here. As you can see, there's some mega strong winds. This was over 100 miles an hour. This might have been 100 So sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay, so it makes landfall, and so as you can see, the winds are getting pulled. But in Magadan, the winds are getting pulled this way. So that means that's a good thing for them. That's a very good thing. So all the water's getting pushed out. But eventually, it's getting really, really close to the eye. And but it makes landfall somewhere about 1:30, maybe a little later. I think it makes landfall at about 1:45 or 2, right near Magadan. Um, and this was pretty bad, of course. And here's kind of some of the winds. It's still really bad, but as you can see, it's getting a little better. Now it's really close to Magadan, and Magadan doesn't have anything to worry about. Now the eye and the storm expands, although it's a little weaker. And so this is why we have still a little bit left of the storm way down near Onakatan. Not exactly at Onakatan, but pretty close to Onakatan. Now it's pretty much at Magadan, maybe a little west, or no, east. But there's still a little bit of dark pink or something, purple. But now the eye kind of turns into a weird like I don't know. But here's what happens. Now what's happening is that it's still expanding, and actually some of the winds are coming from way far away islands over here. So there's actually a couple of places down there, I think. No? Okay. But anyway, there's some very strong winds actually. If Magadan was just a little closer, like around here, then it would definitely have some storm surge. Just not that much. But now by 12, it's definitely weakening. Now, what happened? You saw, guys, that there was a little band right there. And that band is what's creating kind of the next storm. So what happens? So this is what happens, and it gets pretty bad. And there's still some very, very high winds offshore. And actually, some of the wind is getting pushed to Magadan, just not that much. But by tomorrow, what's going to happen is that it settles down. But it doesn't settle down. Where did that storm go? Where did that storm go? Did that storm go? Where did that storm go? Here was this storm. Here was this storm. So what happened is that it wasn't enough of a strong storm. It was just a kind of a band of it. But it was definitely a strong one. And it hit maybe some populated areas. Who knows? And it kind of just deforms. But there's still a little bit left of it. And so this is what they create as now two storms, those two storms forming into one. But if you didn't notice, there was another storm that broke off, and that storm is not going to hit Onakatan, which is good. But there is, guys, another storm coming to Onakatan. The storm is most likely going to be called, well, well, we have Hannah, and this one, which one? We have Hannah, and then this one's probably going to be like, I don't know, something with I. And then this one's probably going to be something with J. So let's see what happens, though. That's a thing, right? Wait, where did it go? Where did it go? I think it already passed. Oh, here we go. It shows you. So here's what happens. Very, very strong winds, except it kind of gets a little pulled off, but not pulled off enough. It definitely hits with some fluctuating winds. Eventually, it's kind of off Onondaga. So if there's any sea routes going from Onondaga, like if it's going down to Europe, that's going to be maybe canceled, something like that. Now, can we go like to? Oh yeah, we can go into kind of the future. Okay, so what happens is that storm goes away. We're okay. We're okay, except a little bit of the band's coming. But besides that, we're okay. Let's see what the next storm does, though. You can see that there's some pretty strong winds over here, but I don't think it's going to do anything. Now, what I notice over here, that there's a little bit of a storm. I'm not sure if that's bad or not, though. And here comes the next storm, and you know the last one was huge. This one's gonna be K, so something with K. I don't know, probably Kai or something like that. I don't know. But here's this going on to here. So there's a little bit of wind, and it's not that bad though. Except when it stays for a very long period of time. As you can see, it stays for a very long period of time. It goes from 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock even. And then it kind of goes away, but it's still going on all through the night. As you can see, the winds are still getting pushed. It's not very high wind, but it still is getting pushed onto land for a very long period of time. Even 2 a.m., you're still having those winds. Now it eventually goes away and overseas with a very strong storm. But anyway, that goes away. And then we probably have to, yep. Okay. Ooh, what the heck happens here? Okay, some sort of really big storm comes, guys. I know that for sure. Okay, what even happened here? Ah, so this storm goes away. Now, when you notice these, as you can see, guys, as you notice these are very strong, but it doesn't really exactly have an eye. Now, there's some very, very calm. It's very calm, but you could see that the temperature is pretty cold, and it's going to kind of stay. This is a very, very cold storm, because you can see that the cold, But anyway, or it might not be. I'm not sure. So here's what happens. Goes like this, and you notice that there's a little bit of a storm. It's not just that though. It's much worse. It forms into two. There's two. So we just had K. We had K. And now this is gonna be like L, and this is gonna be M. Let's see what happens, and you'll know the pattern. Here it comes, guys. And then, as you can see, there's some very, very strong winds. It's going to last for a pretty long amount of time. You see, still last with those winds. And there's some very strong winds already coming down like that. And now it's not exactly going yet onto Anakatan, but it eventually does, as you can see. These two storms are going to be very, very dangerous because they're very close to each other, and they're going to be very dangerous. If they are really close to each other, they do the like some sort of like cyclone dance. I think, I'm not sure, but there's some very cold temperatures, and so that's not good. Now, some very strong winds. But how long are these winds going to last? That's the question. It might be a long time. Now, these strong winds leave Anakatan not fully. As you can see, there's some still pretty strong winds. And that other storm kind of got a little messed up, like destroyed completely. It's kind of forming. So, like I said, it forms into one storm sometimes. And so you could see that it's kind of forming into one storm. So let's see what happens with this. It's going to be a really big storm. Now, you could see that it's kind of a little weird, but it doesn't really make any sense. But you could see that there's some very strong winds. Let's shoot this way. Okay. Okay, there you go. Okay, so we're here, and so you could see that it forms and stuff like that. And then kinda works partially. And so it forms into one huge monster of a storm, and you could see the winds are still going on to there. Wow, look at that. It actually kind of forms into one storm. Very, very big storm. You can see it's even right here. Oh, what happened? So you have this. It's going here. So no, we really don't want to do this. Yeah. Okay. On the second, what we have right here, or on the first or whatever, you can see that there's still those winds. And this is because this is one of the biggest storms I have ever seen coming across. It actually affects all the way over to where it started. It actually kind of intensifies for Anakatan, but then kind of goes away. Now eventually, you can't really see it anymore. Then a small storm comes over, and yeah, now it's over in this area. So let's see what it does. Oh, wait, no, it's supposed to be for the second. But it's the second. This is not working. Okay, since it doesn't work, as you could see, that was that. Now, if you're wondering how much 65, I don't know what this is. We obviously saw, but I'm gonna show you kind of not 65. What did we do? It was like 95 or something. No. You're wondering the hurricane winds? Yeah. Well, for kilometers an hour, it needs to be at least 119 kilometers an hour. Just saying. Not to be exactly a hurricane, because obviously it can't. But, anyway, yeah.